Let me start with you, Neil, and this list. How does it deepen your understanding, not just of what Trump had, but how he had it?
Well, Nicole, like in a start of a relationship, you meet someone new and every day you learn something new, interesting, and important, and it draws you in further. This is kind of, Trump's like the reverse of that. Every day you learn something worse and worse, and it draws the investigators in more and more. So prosecutors look for trajectories in investigations, and this one is spiraling for Trump downwards. So it's not just that he stole the documents, it's not just that he lied about them, it's every new fact that makes the situation worse. So first we thought it was just some documents at Mar-a-Lago, then we learned it was highly classified documents, then we learned that it was human sources and signals intelligence, some of our crown jewels. Then we learned he didn't return the documents when the archives asked for them. Then we learned the Justice Department had to get a grand jury subpoena for these documents. Then we learned that his lawyers certified that they had responded to the grand jury and turned over the documents when they hadn't. And now we're learning that 43 folders were found with classified information, bearing classified markings, but that were empty, and then a whole bunch more with military information. And I've been racking my brain. I can't think of any good reason Trump would have 43 empty classified folders that were completely empty. And that evidence is extremely concerning, especially when you consider the fact that Trump's attorneys have already lied to the FBI during their first attempt to gather these documents. And I don't think that Trump's team is spending months installing safes and lying to the archives and the FBI about a bunch of empty folders. So there's something really fishy going on here.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Strzok, I want to ask you about the lying. The government is making abundantly clear that it has developed evidence to prove that Trump's lawyers were lying when they said that all the records were in the storage room. This is from DOJ's filing in response to Trump on Tuesday. Quote, after producing the Redwell, that's what some of the classified documents were in, counsel for the former president represented that all the records that had come from the White House were stored in one location, a storage room at the premises. And the boxes of records in the storage room were, quote, the remaining repository of records from the White House. Counsel further represented that there were no other records stored in any private office space or other location at the premises, and that all available boxes were searched. I mean, Donald Trump has basically confirmed that that was a lie by saying, my documents, my classified stuff wasn't on the floor, it was in my cartons. I mean, we've got the target confirming that he had classified material not in the storage room, which is what his lawyers attested to. What does that say about where this investigation is?
Well, Nicole, I think what it points to is that certainly the way increasingly I think about this is not so much a case of mishandling of classified information with elements of obstruction, but more a case of obstruction with elements of mishandling classified information. I mean, look, we've all seen now that photograph that was attached to the release materials, and it is impossible when you look at a cover sheet, when you see 42-point font, big, top secret written on the front. If you are doing even the most cursory of searches, it is going to be impossible to not see that. And so the fact that all this was recovered after things were turned over to National Archives, after things were voluntarily turned over to the, under a subpoena, to the FBI and DOJ in June, that all this material would still be there, that's really concerning. And then the other concerning part is, with all these empty folders, as you indicated, where is that material? You know, this is not some case of mortgage fraud where it was a done deal 5 years ago. There's potentially material right now unaccounted for that could cause exceptionally grave damage to the national security. So this is not a past event. This is very potentially an ongoing threat, which absolutely requires the highest level of investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And maybe we talk about it later, part of why this idea of appointing a special master is ludicrous, because the last thing the government needs to be doing right now is slow anything down when it comes to trying to find this material and get it back.
Well, let's talk about that now, because Pete Strzok, I never thought I'd say this to you, but I am looking forward to showing you what Bill Barr had to say about that. Let's watch this together.
What people are missing is that all the other documents taken, even if they claim to be executive privilege, either belong to the government because they're government records, even if they're classified, even if they're subject to executive privilege. They still belong to the government and go to the archives. And any other documents that were seized, like news clippings and other things that were in the boxes containing the classified information, those were seizable under the warrant because they show the conditions under which the classified information was being held. So I think it's a red herring. I think it would, at this stage, since they've already gone through the documents, I think it's a waste of time. People say this was unprecedented. Well, it's also unprecedented for a president to take all this classified information and put them in a country club. Okay, and how long is the government going to try to get that back? They jawbone for a year. They were deceived on the voluntary actions taken. They then went and got a subpoena. They were deceived on that. They feel. And the facts are starting to show that they were being jerked around. And so how long do they wait?
Pete Strzok, has hell frozen over? Does Bill Barr make a good point there?
Nicole, it's one of those things. When you lost Bill Barr, look,
if we waited long enough, right?
When the worst person in the world makes a point that you agree with, what are you supposed to do? I mean, look, that is absolutely right. I mean, whoever's mouth it is coming out of, whoever did as much in their power as anybody else did in the Trump administration to enable this sort of behavior, the fact of the matter is that former Attorney General Barr, as much as I hate to say it, is absolutely right. There was no purpose for him to have those documents at Mar-a-Lago. He did jerk around repeatedly for months and months and months. First the archives, then the Department of Justice. There is no reasonable expectation of safety, let alone an authorized storage container at the Country Club of Mar-a-Lago. So, that's completely right. I'm glad that, Fox News viewers are getting to hear that coming from the former Attorney General. But, he absolutely is right.